So let's look at the concept of discovery itself then. What is discovery? You need to actually think of all of its ramifications, the type of things that involve discovery in your texts. And we'll look at that in a moment. You need to look at what instigates it, in other words, the catalyst for discovery. What caused it, particularly if it's a novel, for example, or poetry, what started the whole process of looking, of discovering, of learning. The third question you need to understand is what determines how we respond to discovery. And we're going to talk about perspectives and assumptions in our experience and context. And of course, lastly, what are the consequences of discovery? More importantly, the rubric, compared to the last area of study, really does focus on you. It's the student and your engagement directly with the text and with your own writing. And so you need to consider how you view discovery for yourself. Are you one of those people that when you discover something new, you'd rather just forget all about it? Or when you rediscover something from your past, albeit the last 17 or 18 years, how do you respond? If it's something that is challenging and provocative, do you find that it's difficult? Do you find that you don't want to confront it? So think about the ways you respond. Secondly, you're looking at how the texts represent the concept of discovery. So you need to have a really good understanding of the form, the language, the features of texts. And lastly, because of that, once you've engaged with the text and the meaning, what ideas have you developed about discovery? And these ideas become the conceptual basis for your essays and for your own creative writing. So in terms of discovery in the area of study, there is one overarching question that actually captures the entire rubric, and it captures what you need to do with your own creative writing and when you're analysing texts, and it's this one. How does the representation of the concept of discovery in and through a range of texts across different contexts make meaning of ourselves and the world? So the first part, the concept of representation, through texts, across contexts, how does it make meaning of ourselves and our world? So let's revisit what representation means. You would have started doing this from about year 7 on, but let's have a look, we'll break it down for you. So first of all, it's how meaning is conveyed through language, features, form and structure. So it's about the words the composer chooses. It's about the poetic devices, the language features they choose. It's about the particular form that they choose. And it's about the structure that makes up that form. So it's all of these things. Many students just look at the language, but in fact, it's the whole package. It's the textuality of a text that you need to consider. And that includes your own writing. Then, obviously, there are deliberate choices made by a composer when they construct a text. So you need to think about, why did they make these choices? What's their perspective? Where are they coming from? Their assumptions. And once you've decided about these deliberate choices, you need to look at those factors then. For example, doing The Tempest, what is Shakespeare's purpose in his play? Is he trying to expose the human condition and look at Renaissance humanism? And picking up the French philosopher Montaigne's work, the mind is a dangerous blade. Then you've got to consider their context, both the social, the historical, cultural and personal. All of those factors are influential. And you need to consider your own when you're doing creative writing. You need to think about, what is it about my life that informs the way I respond to discovery and what I write about? So context is very, very powerful, depending on what country you're in, what city you're in, what area you're in, but also your own family life, your own personal life and your culture itself. So representation is about the images, and that's both through words and both through visuals. It's about the choice of words themselves. And for a lot of the texts that you're studying, and hopefully in your own creative writing, you're going to think about the ambiguity, the complexity, the nuances of language. And one word that I think is absolutely fabulous to remember is polysemy. Poly meaning many, semi meaning words. So it's about meaning and words. What is it you want to convey and what are they conveying in their language? It was once said that the best writers embrace ambiguity, and certainly many of our writers you're studying in the area of study do. You even need to think about the sounds that are used. What sounds do the words convey? For example, if they're wanting to convey a character's response to discovery that's negative, they might use very plosive consonants, really short vowel sounds, disjunctions like but. So think about the sound and feel of words, and you're going to really find this easy when you're uncovering the meaning of texts. And lastly, I said earlier, form and structure. I once heard a very wise person say, if teachers taught form and structure first, then students would get meaning. So you have to think about the genre, you have to think about the type of text. So for example, if we're looking at Robert Gray's poetry, we need to consider what type of form, the lyricism of the language, the structure, for example, of diptych, which is in 2 pieces.